hunter's paradise, Lakey, Texas, Concan area. Trying to put the rooftop smack down on axis. Turkey.
So we're off to hunt the mighty axis. Before we got to the lease, well, actually before we got to the property, there was some turkey on the side of the road here acting like my chickens, man, running up and down the fence line going crazy. There's so much life in this hill country, especially around these rivers. We're close to the Frio River here in Concan, Texas.
Recalculating. Drive 1.5 miles, then left.
So here's a picture of the house from the rear, from where the axis are going to be coming from. And this is the rooftop I got on. But to start out, the first day I came, I actually got to the right of the frame here. You'll see an old barn, and I actually got behind some 50-gallon oil drums to the right there. And I was thinking that they'd come through the ravine, and they'd come up, and then I'd surprise them because I'd be hid. I'd be able to see their legs through that fence on the right there, and when they popped up at the feeder, I'd have a shot, about a 20-yard shot at that. The elusive axis. Man, to me they have twice the eyesight, twice the hearing of a whitetail. They are a blast to bow hunt because they are a big challenge.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's about 6 of them right there already. Gotta go.
So I actually got really cocky about this location I picked. As soon as I sat down, 3 big old toms come running in and start feeding underneath the feeder from the scraps from the day before. The feeder hadn't gone off yet, and they were right there ready. But it's not turkey season, so I didn't get to stick one, but it sure was a blast to watch them. I was sitting Indian style, so I wanted to make sure it was easy for me to draw back in this position. I actually keep my bow in the low 60s because I never know how I'm going to be sitting or standing, always in some wacky compromised position, and I want to make sure that it's not hard for me to draw sitting Indian style or sitting sideways or whatever. So I keep it at about 61, 62, and with that Mathews E7, it's still screaming. So I'm thinking that these axes are going to come from the right. I'll be able to look under the fence and see them. I look down to do something, look up, and there's 2 whitetail at the feeder staring at me. And here they are. Here's the freeze frame. This one's looking straight at me. They bust me. They start snorting and stomping. And now I've already seen 6 or 7 axes in the field behind the creek bed making their way my way. And they've let them all know. And so the axes are like, well, we ain't coming down there to see what's upsetting them. So my day was blown thanks to the whitetail. So I get the brilliant idea to jump on the rooftop for the next time I go. As I'm leaving the day I sat behind the barrels, I was thinking, where can I go? Give me some elevation, give me some surprise. So I thought the roof. I brought the ladder. Next time I came back a few days later, I got on the roof, soaked up some sunshine. It's been a long, cold winter, and got ready. I start to peek over the roof every 10 minutes or so to see where they're at. Now I can see them back there in that pasture starting to make their way towards me, and at 5:15, the feeder goes off at 5, and at 5:15 they're rocking and ready to come in. I hear something. I hear crunching. I hear corn crunching. I hear footsteps. I know they're there. So I'm getting ready to get in position here. Every time a car passes, I use that cover of that sound to move, because that sandpaper roof just really it makes a loud sound when I'm moving. And I'm 25 yards from the feeder and 30 yards from a potential shot. Practice drawing back without breaching the peak of the roof. And that's what I'm doing here. My heart's pumping. I hear them at the feeder. I know they're there. I draw back without going over the peak of the roof. My foot does shift a little bit. My legs are tired from sitting in a funky position. And I did make a little bit more noise than I wanted to. But I drew back before I stood up. And I eased up over the peak of the roof. And bam, there they were. There was 2 whitetail in the foreground. which as soon as I stood up, they were all staring at me. The whitetail bolted. The cool thing was the axis only went 5 yards back, bringing them from 25 yards to 30 yards. I was like, oh, that's their behind, man. So I put the 30-yard pin on the biggest doe I could see, and I let her fly. Well, that rascal, I could see the arrow flight the whole way there, and halfway to that deer, when that arrow got halfway there, that deer bolted. Arrow went right where the deer was, right where the axis was, and it was actually it was a good shot. It was a good kill shot, and that sucker basically just jumped my string. Heartbroken and foaled again by the axis. I haven't wanted to bring in a pop-up blind since it's somebody's property I just met, but I think I'm going to work on getting inside of that barn. I've actually found a way I can shoot out of that barn. It'll work like a blind for me. I'm going to keep on working on these axes till I finally stick one. You know, it's all about enjoying the journey. Thanks a lot for watching ArrowslingnTV. I'm Ty, and we'll catch y'all next time.